Greetings everyone, Caddy Damas here with some Gran Turismo Sport highlights from both the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Series. We are going to start here at Fuji, the most recent one. This was the Nations Cup, Group 2 at Fuji. Not my best track, qualified 8th, grid start, and this start was crazy. I go from 8th and somehow find my way all the way up into 3rd position before we even get into the first corner. So I'm up 5 positions early on. I am not hating that as the guy in 2nd runs wide, so I gain another position up into 2nd. So 6 positions gained to start this race. I was feeling pretty good at a track that I am not really great at. You know, we all have our good tracks, we have our bad tracks. This is not my best. So at the end of lap 1, heading into lap 2, I am going to make a slight error coming down into the hairpin as I get onto this curbing on the left side on the gas, do a nice little 360, give me some style points for that one, but it does lose me 2 positions unfortunately, so back down to 4th. And we are going to have to do something about that. But I tell you what, I will not be denied for long as we are getting ready to head around the corner. And I am about to make a pretty nifty little move as I brake a little early. Slight lockup, but I carry the speed into the corner and just roll right through it. Able to get back up into 3rd. Just trying to hold on to that position as we're heading down into the dreaded chicane, and I just parked the bus right in the middle of the track. We brake for that chicane. This sector right here is definitely my worst sector on this track, but back up into 3rd place, and we're going to see what we can do from there. After the pit stop, came out in 4th. Guy in 3rd, I don't think he had changed his tires. He runs a little bit wide, so back up to where I should be. Now I'm going to try to chase down the guy in 2nd place. I felt I was a little faster than him. Getting ready to start the last lap. I was about, I believe, maybe 2.5, perhaps 3 seconds behind starting this last lap. So, see if we can perhaps put down a heck of a lap here at the end on the very last lap and perhaps get up into 2nd. You'll see here in a second, do set a purple first sector, so that is a good sign, although that was kind of the theme of this race. I did that multiple times in that first sector, but was really unable to carry the momentum all the way through. You see my fuel gauge flashing over there. I do like that they got rid of the thing that came across the top of the middle of the screen that would let you know how much fuel you had left when you got low. So it's nice that they kind of did away with that. That was very annoying at the end of a race when that would pop up in the middle of your screen. So good to see they got that out of there as I am trying to chase down this guy into 2nd as we're approaching sector 3. Definitely my worst sector, but let's see if I can string something together here and perhaps improve my position here on this last lap as we are heading up the hill into the blind left-hander here. The tricky corner to find your braking point. I feel like I either brake way too early or way too late. I do get a fairly decent run as we head up into the last turn. If I can get a good exit here, I might be able to put some pressure and get that position back, but it is not meant to be. You see a little bit of a wiggle there, just wasn't able to hold it. I do get pretty close here as we get on the line using that slipstream, but I'm just not quite close enough. One more lap and I would have gotten by, but that is going to set the theme with the exception of this next race. But 3rd place there, I'll take it. On to Willow Springs for the Manufacturers Series here in the Renault. I believe this was Group 4, I want to say. Perhaps I can't remember. Anyway, going into turn 1, I pole position by over a second, but I just absolutely bottle it here as I run a little bit wide into turn 1, really concentrating more on the radar. But I get back on the track okay, back into 3rd, but I knew I was a lot faster than these 2 guys in front of me, so I was really trying to put my head down. A little bit of a red mist there from the frustration of my mistake. But the guys in 1st and 2nd are battling a little bit, but I feel that if I can just get by them, I can stretch this gap out and really take control of this race because I was feeling very confident on this track, which, you know, a lot of times I went a little hargy-bargy there on the Corvette, but, you know, he stayed on the track. no harm, no foul. I knew I was going to get by him eventually. And get a good run here on the Nissan in front of me. The Renault, I have to say, it's the first time I've used it in the Manufacturer Series. Not a bad car. But second place currently as I go to the inside as you go around that long right-hander to finish the lap. And back in to first place, and that is going to be that, as we're going to skip ahead to the final lap here. Just pretty much been in control of this race from the word go. Have stretched out my gap. You can see I waited all the way to the end of, I believe it was lap 13 that I ended up going in for my pit stop. Maybe 12. Actually, yeah, it was 12 into the pits. 13 was my out lap there. So I stretched those tires a good long way. Just came in at the end. Had to put on the hard tires. So put those on for pretty much just a couple laps. That was all I really wanted. I could have easily made another pit stop though. We're just going to go through this last lap just because there really weren't many highlights here. As I'm going to put the guy here in 9th, a lap down. I do like how they ghost the lap cars, although you know, I still wish people would just kind of move out of the way, because it is still a little disconcerting when you're going through a ghost car. And just it can kind of a little discomforting, you know. Going around this last corner, as you can see, I'm inside this Ferrari, but that is going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and cross the line with a little bit of flair. Like I said, I easily could have made another pit stop, but we're going to pick up some extra style points here to cross the line, and we come home for the victory by, it was just a little over 40 seconds, so I was feeling pretty good about that one, especially on this track, because I have a tendency to go want to see the desert quite a bit here when I go to Willow Springs. But the victory nonetheless. So we're going to move on to the final race here, the most exciting at Yamagiwa. Rolling start, starting in 4th with the KTM Crossbow. Get a good jump on the guy in 3rd in the SRF. And I'm going to take 3rd place here. We're going to have a nice little battle here for the first part of this lap. We're going to ride on board for pretty much all of lap 1. Because we do have some good battles here. And I really do enjoy this KTM Crossbow. Any chance I have to use this car, I really like to use it. It's got great stability going around the corners. You know, some other cars have some better acceleration, better top speed for sure, but I just like the way this car stays planted. I like to drive in cockpit view, and this is a really good car in cockpit view. Not a lot of obstructions, good visibility. As you see, going around that hairpin, the SRF did get a better exit there. You can see that acceleration he had coming out of the corners. We had downhill into the chicane. Very tough in this direction to get this correct. Kind of, you can see cars sliding around. Used a lot of that curb on exit multiple times. We're going to see if we can catch up, back up to this lead pack and try to get some positions back. Currently in 4th, right where we started. You see the plate on the side does say 7th is where the game thinks I should be, so, you know, not hating that. Had some really good battles throughout this race. As you see, the Ferrari leading. Can't tell what car that is in 2nd, and then the SRF, and then my Crossbow. As you see, the SRF running a bit wide, and he does pick up a half-second penalty. Scrubs a lot of speed going into that last corner. I'm going to get the move done for you and get into the penalty section. And that is going to be that. He does come back at me a little bit, but I don't think he ever gets back in front of me from this point on. And we're going to have our sights set on 2nd place here as we are going back up the hill and then getting ready to head back down into the little S section here. And you're going to see, going into the second half of these S's, the car in front of me is going to make a bit of a mistake coming down the hill. He's going to run wide, and I got really lucky there that was not a collision. Just a split second faster, and I would have ran right into him, and that would have been that for my race. Pretty much done and dusted. But now I'm going to set my sights on the Ferrari in front and see if I can get ahead. So 2 laps in the books, up into 2nd place, a couple positions gained. We're going to fast forward now. Lap number 6, we're heading up the hill, getting ready to go on the long right-hander. And you're going to see here the Ferrari just run a little bit wide He seemed to run wide quite a few times before that, just keeping it barely on the track, but that time gambled and lost a little bit. I'm going to lose some time getting back onto the track, so I'm going to take that position up into first. Now it's a matter of trying to hold this position. I was not feeling 100% at this track going in this direction. I kind of prefer it going the other way, but this direction I just wasn't feeling that great, so we'll see if we can hold on to first here, as the Ferrari has closed back up on that gap now and is starting to put a little bit of pressure on me as I make a slight mistake coming out of the downhill chicane. As we come up the hill, that Ferrari is going to have the run on me and get in front, and there's not much I can do. I go a little almost side by side here as we head into the long right-hander, but unable to get that move done at the time, so we only have a few laps to go, and I'm going to have to try to close back up on this Ferrari. What can be done here? We shall find out. We're going to skip ahead. Ferrari and I really had a great battle, so now we're just approaching the end of lap number 12, getting ready to start the final lap of the race, and we have quite a battle on our hands between myself and the Ferrari. I'm just going to squeeze ahead as we are coming down the hill into the S section. I was just able to get that move done. A little bit better exit coming up the hill. So we're going to see if I can hang on to this position. And Ferrari, every time I thought I could pull out a gap on the Ferrari, it just seemed to pull back up on those straights. You can just see it closing up on me with that top end speed plus the slipstream. But I felt like I had it going into the braking zones. The Ferrari just wasn't as strong into the corners, but nonetheless, we are on the final lap and we have a good battle here. And I'll be honest, at this point, I was sweating a little bit. You know, being in the lead of a race when you have another car behind you, you want to look forward, but it's so easy to look behind you and worry about how close they are, or look at the timing screen, look at the radar, look at your mirrors, whatever it may be. It's really hard to just look ahead, focus on your race and hitting your braking points and your turning points and clipping those apexes. That's what you really have to, I found you have to concentrate on. So I was doing my best, as you see, get a little shaky coming off the exit of the chicane. The Ferrari's running almost side by side, and I didn't realize this like in the game that I had run the Ferrari kind of off track a little bit there. I just kind of stayed straight, and I didn't realize it was that close to my left, and the grass was right there until after I watched this clip back. So I kind of apologize. I could squeeze it just a little bit there, but you know, if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. So as we head down the hill, you see that Ferrari is all over the back of me. Got a really good run going down that hill, and I thought I was catching a penalty right there for sure. I was waiting for that half a second penalty to pop up, but we are side by side as we head into the final corner. This has been a great battle here. These pretty much all race with this Ferrari, so who can hold on, who is going to come home victorious? And it looks like I'm going to hang on with the KTM Crossbow to just cross the line just ahead of the Ferrari, and that was just a great race. We had a really good time battling them. So hopefully looking forward to improving my driver rating a little bit if I can stop rage quitting and perhaps start getting in some better lobbies. So I've been Caddy Damas. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button.